welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here. This is Life's Podcast Videocast with Sujata and Coach Les. And we are here tonight. I'm Coach Les, and Sujata is the author of this book, Against All Odds. No retakes, no manuals, real life lessons. Sujata has accumulated a wealth of experience during her life, leading to insights and knowledge that cannot be coached or taught in a class. She's a mother, a wife, a journalist, a consultant, an activist, a leader, and businesswoman domestically and internationally. In sharing her story, Sujata strives to provide readers of all backgrounds in any part of the world with real-life examples on how to deal with the unpredictable nature of everyday life. And we have chosen to come together to do a videocast podcast. And why we do that is we believe that using our combined resources and lives, we can make a difference in sharing the areas of training and development that are pertinent to today's business, family, faith, and speaking about all of it through the filters of communications integrity. So tonight, actually last night, we started talking, we asked the question, do you put others before yourself ever? Foregoing a possible financial opportunity and letting someone else benefit. And we spoke about that. And I said, well, let's look forward to tomorrow night, the 9:30 show, Central Standard Time. And inside of that conversation, what is commitment and what makes you committed? Because people definitely have to have a commitment and be committed to put others before yourself. And so we want to break it apart tonight and hear a little bit more about the layers of why we do this. Like what's the opportunity? And why do we want to do that? So with that, I want to just kind of pose the question and hear what Sujata has to say around it. And we'll look forward to introducing her. Welcome, Sujata. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And with that, I am going to pass the mic to Sujata and let her share what's opened up for her. What does she see in this conversation?
For some, or at least I can speak for myself always, commitment is one of the things that is like a way of life. And commitment, consistency, character, they're all intertwined as far as I'm concerned. So when you do things consistently and you're committed to everything that you do in the best possible manner, that's part of your DNA, or that's who you are. And so you will consistently show up, you will consistently do things. Like, I'm a people person, so I'm consistently there for people. And no matter how hard I try to deviate, I still go back to myself of being committed to whosoever I am uh, in a relationship. Wherever I have committed my time and presence, then or a cause that I have picked up, everything, if I have picked it up, then I'm committed to it. Like rain or shine, you show up every time. That's how commitment is to me.
Thank you so much, Sujata. And I know that Michelle is up on stage here, so I'm going to actually have a chance to ask Michelle, how and what does commitment show up for you?
I learned, well, for me, commitment is a promise. Commitment is going forward to what you want to do. With people, make sure when you're committed is say what you're going to do. Because that person's going to be able to trust you. And people are looking at that, you know. They want, you know, if you can't make a commitment, be honest. If you're honest with the person, you can't make a commitment to do something or whatever they want, I think they respect you for that. You know what I mean? I have myself, not many times, but I've made commitments and broke promises, and I feel really bad about it. I can understand emergencies happen, you know. I was committed to be on your show yesterday, and a lot of things have happened while you were on the show. Okay, so it's been happening a little bit, you know. When things come up and you don't expect it, and you have to get out, you know, it's some things you can't control, and but being committed to other people is people are looking at your respect and your integrity, and that's what they're looking for. Are you committed to Christ? They want to look at how you walk. If you're committed to that, what you have, you know, and that's what it means to me, Coach. And I'm not perfect, but I'm learning. And what you say, what you do, is what they're looking for. That's what people are looking for. So thank you, Coach.
Oh, you're very welcome, Michelle. And with that, I'd love to pass the mic over to Vincent. Vincent, what's commitment? What makes you committed? And do you, when you're in that space, do you put others before yourself and foregoing a possible financial opportunity and letting someone else benefit?
Coach?
Yes, Vincent.
Yeah, I have. Like, sorry, it's kind of an ironic question. Yeah, that's sorry, is that sardonicism? How are you tonight? Sorry. Commitment to me is unbreakable will. It's forgiving for the greater good. Sticking with something until the end. You know, like for me, it's the alleviation of half measures. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You are welcome. Give me just 1 second here. And with that, I pass the mic over to Sister D. Hi, D.
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm so tired. I'm about to go to bed. What's the question?
What is commitment and what makes you committed? And do you put others before yourself ever? And if you do you do it foregoing a possible financial opportunity and letting someone else benefit?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
It is. Ah,
That's a loaded question when I'm about to go to sleep. I'm committed. It depends. It depends. Depends on the task at hand and what it just depends. If it's for yourself, then I'm committed. I'm committed to exercising. because it's a commitment is a goal for myself. It's something that I have asked of myself, and it comes naturally to me. I think that when you love something, it becomes natural. It's not a job. It's not a chore. And in the workplace, if you're committed to the mission, the goals of a team, of an organization, then that is a commitment in itself. I mean, you're committed to reaching the goals of the team and the organization. So those are two different things, and you can be committed to so many things. I think also my word is a commitment, because I'm a very reliable person. And if I say that I'm going to do something, then I commit myself to that. Did that answer your question?
Very well. Now,
Great.
have you ever foregone a financial opportunity based on the fact that, how do I say this nicely, somebody else scammed you?
Absolutely. Lots of times. In my world of real estate, that's happened to me lots of times, Coach Les. I've lost many clients because of the negative habits of or just the negative business practices of other realtors.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I do things that how do I explain this? Sometimes if it's a family member, or a family member, the way I used to do it before is I didn't allow them, or not allow them, but I didn't ask them to sign a listing agreement or my contract. And that was a big mistake on my part. And I think it almost cost me my real estate license. And someone took advantage of that situation and decided to try to get me fired and try to file a formal complaint against me with my license, the person that gives me my license in Austin, Texas, called the Texas Real Estate Commission. And so I will never do that again. So I think in that aspect, yes. So did that answer your question again?
Beautiful, beautiful. And you hit the nail on the head. And my question, as you look at it now, how do you relate to it now?
And relate to it as in what way?
Well,
because it's I have owned my mistake. Yep. It is a mistake on my part that just because it was a family member, I didn't ask them to sign my contract, which was it, and I should have known better. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I should have known better, but I thought, okay, it's a family member. I can always ask them to sign it later. But in the real estate business, it's at the first meeting with your client that you take your contract and they sign it immediately before you proceed. And
Yep.
I never did that.
Yep.
Until I got in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but I didn't get in trouble because they thought they could get me in trouble. But because I had no previous violations or any negatives on my record, they decided that they were just going to I got a slap on my hand, and they said, never again, you will get fined, possibly lose your license. So I learned a huge lesson that I will never forget in my life, because that came from a family member, a person that I thought I could trust and that really loved me and cared for me, but she was only looking out for her interests. So that's a huge lesson for me. And I will never do that again.
And I think you said something that I want to point out that I think is absolutely crucial. And that is, you thought you could trust them because of your family values, your love for family. And you opened yourself up to the possibility. And what ended up happening was you got betrayed, basically.
Yes, I got betrayed.
And in that betrayal, you discovered the responsibility that was your part, which almost cost you getting in trouble. You got your hand slapped. It could have cost you your license. And you were slapped saying, don't do this again. You knew we're going to forgive you and move on. Now.
No, I wasn't new.
Okay.
That's why I said I should have known better.
Got it.
But because it was my first cousin, I said, nah, it's okay. I'll come back later and she can sign it later. Because my thought process was, I'll ask her to sign it along with all the other paperwork.
Right.
So I wanted to wait until almost the end of the towards, when they sign all the contracts, and instead of signing one, okay, here, sign this contract, okay, sign this other one, and then sign the third one, I send them all together, towards the end. And that was my thought process.
Right. And
she used it against me. She called my broker. She called HAR, which is the Houston real estate commission. She filed a complaint with Austin. And so she did all those three things, and they filed a complaint. And that was her way to exit out of the contract altogether, is because she did not have a listing agreement with me.
Right. Which you were doing it just as a favor. Well, I mean, not as a favor, but you were doing it just to make life easier and then move on.
Exactly.
Yep.
Easier for me, which, I was just being lazy. But my laziness, it cost me 3 years of uncertainty, of sadness, and not knowing what, the uncertainty. But I was very sad because I didn't think that a first cousin would do this to me. And that's when there's a fine line I had to draw the line with family. Mixing a business with family.
Yep.
Where before I used to get so upset when a family member did not seek me for my services, my real estate services. And I became very upset before, because I thought, okay, you're my family member. You should help me out. But I don't see it that way now. I do not mix family with business anymore. Go find someone else, because it's the same family members that will inundate you with questions, free questions. And you know, they want an answer for everything at all hours of the day. And no, go ask your broker, go ask another realtor. You didn't hire me. Go ask someone else. You know, stop wasting my time.
Yeah. Very frustrating.
Very frustrating. I learned a couple of things in the process that I would never do again. I think it's during challenging times that we learn our lessons. And those lessons or those challenges make us better people. We learn from them, we grow, and we move on.
Very true. And I think that's part of, I would say this is one of the reasons that Sujata wanted to have this conversation. Because of the human, well, I'm not going to speak for her. I'm going to let her come on mute and she can speak.
No, I think you summed it up well, Dee, because that's exactly what I say, that so-called family and friends are the first to betray you. You know, there's something called befriend to betray. So it's known people who will betray you. It's not random strangers who betray you. And you trust them not to do it, and they do exactly the opposite. But yes, you learn from all these episodes, and those are the nuggets of wisdom that you gain along the journey, is what I've said in my book as well.
Well, and I think that's why we're doing this, right, Sujata? Because I mean, these are the human things, Dee, that I think if people were to listen to this podcast, they would think twice about stepping across that line. And if they did step across the line, they would make sure that they're legally, I can't think of the word at the moment, prepared, forewarned, forearmed in that world. Right, Sujata?
Yeah. Before signing on dotted lines or the legal aspect, it is your conscience and your moral which tell you what you want to do. And if you have already got it in your head to betray somebody, then you will go ahead and do it, no matter where you sign and what you sign. You'll always find a loophole. It happens all the time in businesses.
Yeah. So thank you, Dee. And with that, I'm going to go over, send the mic over to Dipti. Dipti, what about you? What's commitment? What makes you committed? Have you ever put somebody before you and then been betrayed?
Yes, coach. Like, actually, I have I have a helping tendency, and as you would have observed that, I'm a person who is a bit sweet, or very sweet and stuff like that. So, like, I have this helping tendency, and I have had a lot of people, my friends, my batchmates, especially use me for their own gain. So they will just ask something from me, and since knowing my helping tendency and my kind nature, they have used me. But later on, I realized, okay, and I should have set certain boundaries here and here. This happened during my college days, actually. Like, that is when I after helping, and after certain days, I kind of reflected on that, and I realized that I should have healthy boundaries when it comes to, certain things. And just like that, I cannot, help everyone just like that. And I've had, people be rude to me, and, like, because I was kind to them, like, what suddenly happened to, that person? Why is, she rude to me? And I used to think on that. And that is when I realized that, okay, no, I have to start setting boundaries, and I cannot just let people walk all over me, and things like that. So even from D, I was able to understand another thing too. Like when it comes to relatives and stuff like that, I have seen my dad suffer. Dad also has the same nature, and he's even more sweeter than me. So like and even more kinder than me. And he also like suffered a lot, and even in his younger age, like his own relatives betrayed him. So yeah, like I learn from other people's experiences too. Like I see people who are around me who are suffering like that. At the same time, I learn from my own mistakes too. But but even despite that, I keep going forward, like, because that gives me happiness. And I'm doing, if I'm being kind to someone, I'm not I don't expect anything in return. Like unconditionally, I do it for my own internal happiness, and that gives me a happiness. Then why should I later on regret that? It's okay, let me keep moving forward, but at the same time have some boundaries, or healthy boundaries and stuff like that, like kind of discern while helping people. So that is what I can share for now. Like that is what I was able to get in my mind regarding these things. So I'm yielding my mic back to you, Coach. That is my share for now.
Thank you, Dipti. Appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to this. Hello, Fabian. How are you, sir? Mr. Fabian, are you able to come off of mute? Fabian, I think either your microphone is stuck or you're busy. If your microphone is stuck, what you have to do is hit the leave quietly, pop out, hit the room, and you'll come flying right back in. All right. Well, in the meantime, welcome Ria, welcome Chris, welcome Ginger. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Dr. Chelsea. Appreciate you. She's like, great life lessons, she says in the back room. And all right, I think that's everything covered. Everybody covered on the stage. And Sujata, what had you choose this topic?
Because I see this happening all the time around me. You see, like I've said before, when it comes to human being, no matter how much you draw boundaries or you put on all kinds of things to safeguard, you can't. Yes, if you're going outside, you can safeguard against the sun, the rain, and the snow and everything, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to human being, you can never ever predict how it will turn out. You may know people for years and years, and then one day they backstab you, or you may know people for a short duration of time, or they're working with you, or they're in a relationship with you, and they still one day will have the ability to hurt you just by the way they express themselves or through actions. So it happens all the time. And in business, there is no end to it, when you're taken for a ride. And every businessman on this planet, I would say, at some point of their life, they have been taken for a ride. Doesn't matter how big or small they are, whether they tell the stories or not. It's something which is real. That's why if you read out my book, Every time, what do I say at the back of my book? That this book is for you if you're staying in a civilized society. You don't need this book if you're living with animals in the jungle, because their code of conduct is very, very simple. It may not seem okay to us, but it is. You look at Remy, you look at your dogs, how committed they are and how consistent they are in their affection. Can you say that about human beings? At least I would not want to bet on it. I always say that I never take anybody for granted. I think that's the only way I safeguard myself from rude shocks. Of course, there will be always a moment when you will be shocked or hurt or, you know, feel bad, but it's momentary when you know that people define themselves by their actions. They don't define me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I do. The juggle with all of this for me, that I just enjoy hearing how people deal with this, and not I say this not to be mean, not to joke about it or anything like that. I say it because I know, um, it's always a sensitive topic. It's a sensitive issue, and I think that people get, when somebody's close to them, I think they get lazy with their caution, with their guards, with their cautionary movements. I think oftentimes that whole thing where you want to put somebody ahead of you, is that in so doing that, sometimes we're not privy to, cautious of, relaxed enough for. And I think that that's the crux of this particular situation, is be careful how invested you get with somebody without knowing how they are in those type of situations in their life. And then also, in my case, one of the things I was like, I know she doesn't have integrity sometimes with other people, but she's always had integrity with me. And she would never do that to me. So do I need to worry about it? And that's a yikes. Go ahead, Sujata.
Yeah, but someday she did, right? Do the same with you, which she was doing with others.
Oh, worse.
So, the moral of the story here, the learning here is when you invest in somebody for a long time and you see them deal with others, then you should be prepared if it's something not very savory that it might happen to you someday.
100% know that now. Hindsight,
Yeah,
I got 20/20 vision. I don't even need my cheaters for that. It was one of those times when I just couldn't believe that somebody that close to me would do that.
he's the closest to do that. It's always the closest to betray you. No random stranger is going to betray you. They don't know you to betray, right?
And that's exactly what I thought. I said, oh my goodness, how can my own cousin do this to me?
Exactly. But it's always so-called family and friends who are the first to take you down.
Yep. I think hurt people hurt people. And in her case, she had lots of issues going on in her life that she saw me and how happy I am in my life and everything that I have going for me. And she thought, oh no, because people want to see you successful. They want to see you happy, but not ever better than them. And that's the truth.
Yes, but I'd like to point out here something, that just because I have got betrayed or I've had a nasty episode in my life doesn't mean that I take it out on others. It should make me more empathetic towards others, and I should always take a vow: what happened to me, I at least consciously will never do something like that to others. That I do not see most
You
people.
know better. You know better. You and I know better.
Yeah.
Some people don't. They don't know any better. And if they do, they act like they don't. Because she knew better. She knew what she was doing was wrong. Why did she do it? She has her own agenda. She has her own agenda. And I really believe that what goes around comes around. I truly believe in that concept. You reap what you sow. And now, or what is it?
Yeah, you reap what you sow is perfect.
Okay, there you go.
And even though it's Old Testament, an eye for an eye.
Yes. But that's that. I really truly believe in that. Hurt people hurt people. Her daughter disowned her, and she's living. Her husband is not a good husband to her, and she is finding a way to get attention. Because, oh, poor me, she's playing the victim. Nobody loves me. So how can and I'm hurting, so how can I hurt others?
Yep. And so the other question is, how do we guard ourselves against that?
You look for those red flags that I paid no attention to before.
Yeah.
I was always the giver, the generous giver, the person, the people's, the girl's girl. That was me always. Never paying attention to those little signals or those red flags. And when something like that happens, it's like you think about it and you think, wow, now I remember when this happened, why she said this, why she did that. And then you put two and two together and you said, the signs were there all along. I should have known better. But, we learn when it's too late. We learn now, I guess not that it's late, but you learn when the damage has been done, because it was your lesson. That lesson was meant for you. And I learned my lesson, because there are no coincidences in life. Everything happens for a reason. And so that was my lesson. I've learned a couple of hard lessons in my life. And that is what's making me stronger and able to talk about it without crying. I see it as a lesson now. Before it was like, why me? Why me? Why did she do this to me? You know, I don't see it that way anymore. I have really evolved into, and I've really grown with these hardships or challenging times or trying times, whatever people want to call them. I'll be quiet now.
Oh no, Dee, we love it. It's please don't feel like that you have to be quiet at all for anybody.
And I think that sometimes we learn, or a lot of us do, and other people just don't get it. Some people are not there yet. Their level of comprehension or their level of understanding the way life is, the way relationships are. I don't think they understand that. They fully grasp that. They don't. Because when we are able to see each other's souls and understand that we are all here to learn the same lessons in life, then you wouldn't act that way. Because they're all life lessons. Sometimes it takes some of us a short while, and then it takes some of us our whole lifetimes. And unfortunately, it's taken me half of my lifetime. But it's never too late, right? It's never too late to learn those lessons that will grow us and to really live the life that we deserve. Because we are meant to not only survive, but to thrive. And by gosh, I am thriving right now. I'm really thriving. And I'm so, so grateful. And I wish upon a star every night. There's a star from my window. And I wish upon it. I pray on it. And I'm so grateful for all the hardships that have made me into the strong woman that I am today. Yes, and that is all.
Yeah, it's powerful. I just want to check in. Fabian, are you there? All right. I saw you flash your mic. Michelle, did you want to say something?
Yes, I do. I do. Okay, you're talking about integrity, and you're talking about commitment, and you're talking about financial. What's that word you said? Financial.
Stability? Did he say
stability? Is that the word you use, Coach?
Oh my goodness, I don't. Sujata?
I think what Coach Les was trying to say that if there's a financial opportunity, would you pass it up for somebody else? Would you forego it for somebody else?
Not when it comes to be scammed, I guess. I was pretty Coach.
Yeah.
I remember she was talking about how someone hurt her, betrayed her. That happened yesterday. That's why I logged out the room. About my cat, and I found out that she's a scammer, and the cat that she found my cat should have been brought to me right away. And two veterinarians rejected her because something was up. She said my cat was queenie, but the chip said it would belong to me. And I was originally going to give her the cat because I was being sweet and everything, because she acted like she wanted it. As time goes by, there were less red flags, and my daughter saying, "You know what, Mom? She called me from a different number," and we found out that, and then I found out that someone else paid for her emergency bill, and that from she posted on Facebook. It's I guess it's extortion, and I never heard of pet scams ever. You find a cat, and I believe that she didn't put money into it. She's trying to extort money and give her money. And she was threatening me on the phone yesterday. And tomorrow I got a call of a dog warden. And I was trustworthy. I didn't expect this to happen. I was shocked, and she threatened me today. And I was like, wait a minute, but she's my cat. By law, you're supposed to give that cat to me. And she wasn't, I just couldn't believe it that happened, and saying that she's in debt for $30,000. You got to help me with this cat and everything. But I never asked her to help the cat. She should have brought the cat to me, and I would do whatever I had to do. So if there's that thing called with the extortion, with people who lose their animals, and people got them, and they're trying to cash on you. And then she had a GoFundMe that she put 3 or 4 different amounts. And then before she took my cat to 2 different vets, they thought something was fishy, and they did not want to deal with her. And things kept adding up. And my daughter and I go, we were scammed. Oh my gosh, don't give her a dime. Don't, we're not responsible for what she did. So, oh my gosh, I learned a lesson there, Coach.
Wow.
I thought she was doing, I thought it was being nice to give her a heart, my cat, but then at the same time, she was threatening me, you got to do this and do this for me. But the chip's still on my name, but she still has to give it back. So I got to call we call authorities that deal with the pets, or Pet Patrol from Niagara Falls. So why didn't I see that, Coach? Why didn't I see that? Why didn't I, and I didn't think I would have been scammed. I called my church and everything, and I was on a phone yesterday. I had to get out of your room. That's what that whole situation has been. This room showed me about integrity. That was not integrity. She was trying to take advantage of me, and I didn't see it. I don't know why I was blind to it.
Because
2 or 3 days.
I think I think we are blind to it, Michelle, because we have big hearts, and with a big heart, sometimes we're not as good at paying attention to the small details.
I didn't pay attention to the small details. I kept all her texts that she texted me and everything. And I don't understand why she put it on me that she's this much in debt because she rescues cats. But that's her fault. She put her money into, but I don't think that happened. The 2 veterinarians, like the 2 different vet hospitals, did not want to deal with her. But I closed my eyes and didn't understand. You are so right, Coach. You're right.
Wow.
So that's what happened last night. That's why I jumped out of your room so quick yesterday.
No worries.
Okay.
Fabian, did I just see? Yes, he's there.
Hey, Coach Les. How you doing, Coach?
We are doing great. Sujata is here with me, and
Yes.
this is
Sujata, my friend. Good to see you. Michelle, Dipti, Ari, Justina, Melvis. Good to be here. Great shares. I am really sorry for all of us who have been hurt by people who have betrayed us. And I look at things maybe a little differently, Coach and Sujata. in terms of you can only vet people that much. We are not clairvoyant. We can't predict the lotto numbers. I wish that we could see the heart of people and not just their pretty faces sometimes, right? Like if they, if you could actually see what kind of heart they have. Do they have a dark heart or do they have a good heart? That's most important. But unfortunately, we can't. So we have no choice but to just go along with relationships sometimes. And I do think that tenure is overrated. I've heard conversations here about, well, I should have done a better job of vetting this person. I know people that have known each other 30 years and don't know each other.
Yep.
Okay. So we need to balance it. And before all, I think we need to give ourselves some grace. We need to not beat up ourselves and say we should have seen these red flags. Because you know what? Sometimes we hope and pray that this person will do better next time. And it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to give somebody else grace and figure that maybe they just need to be with a certain person, or maybe they just need to see things a different way. Because we have such people where they turn stuff around and they turn their life around. So when you invest in somebody, that is the hope. That is the hope. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it does not. But we are not predictors of the future. We need to get off this, I should have seen this. Only God sees everything. We don't see everything. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. We're going to get our hearts broken. You live long enough, you're going to go through some stuff. But above all, Coach, I think one of the greatest gifts we can have is to keep a soft heart. Keep a soft heart. No matter what you go through, take your time to heal. But above all, try to restore a soft heart. Because the next person that comes in your life deserves for you to have that soft heart. Deserves for you not to carry over whatever hurt might have happened to you in the past. That next person deserves a clean slate. Both of you do. So while we're hurting here, we're talking about these experiences and it sucks. Unfortunately, it comes with the territory of life.
Yes, sir.
And we can call it a lesson. And we can say we should have done this, but let's be practical a little bit and just say we are doing our best. And just know that there's still got good folks out there. Do not let this hurt your heart, that you don't allow the next person in your life. Thank you, Coach.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Well said as usual, Fabian.
Go ahead, Sujata.
I said, well said as usual, Fabian.
Oh, I know. But go ahead.
Go ahead and say what?
Speak, talk, share, question, answer.
Ask me a question.
Ask me a question, I'll tell you no lies.
It's all an oxymoron situation. Look, you have to trust people, even if you know that you may get betrayed. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to judge everybody by the same standard, then or what you've gone through, you just have to trust. And when you trust, you go along and see how it turns out. And if you manage to see signals, then you should know where to, break off on things. But right, as he said, you may know 30 years somebody and not know the person, or you may know somebody for an hour or two and feel that you know the person all your life. So it works both ways. And the kindest people are most mistreated quite often.
Very true. Very true. Well, I look at this conversation and when we look at training and development, and how do we train our youth to be cautious about this? What can we do for our friends and family to warn them of this situation?
Well, Coach, one thing is how do they treat other people?
Yep.
Before you get into relationships with folks, it's good to observe. I like to see how people act around their own families, even if they have disagreements with their family. Do they talk bad about their family? All those things are things I pay attention to if I go out for dinner or on a date. How you treat the waiter is huge. If you treat that waiter with disrespect, we are not going out on a second date. That's just my rule of thumb.
Amen.
I'm sorry, but it ain't happening. So, go ahead, Coach.
No, I was just going to say 100%. I think that is, I love that you just said that, because for me, I think it's absolutely brilliant that, there's a couple things. How do they treat their parents? Right? Like if I find out that, and I've seen it in a person that I dated, how they treat their parents.
Yep.
They're toast. I do something that's probably forbidden, and that is I suggest I start looking at how I can coach them, because I ain't going to go out with them again. So I really don't care if it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. I just figure I could do something for humanity. So I love that you said that, Fabian. Thanks. I'm curious that with Ori and Unshaky Run, Melvies and Justina, we would love to hear your take on this, just because the more opinions we have, the more fun we have in this conversation. I think it's a small room. Would love to have you come on up. There we go. Unshakaran, how are you?
Good morning, everyone. Namaskar, Sujata ma'am. Actually, I have nothing to say. That is why I just moved to the audience.
Oh.
I love to listen out from all of you.
So can I ask you a question then? Or may I ask you a question? Excuse me.
Please.
So have you ever had the experience of being betrayed by a friend?
Sorry?
Have you been betrayed by a friend before?
I don't think so. But yeah, from my relatives, I have that bad experience.
Oh, okay. You've had the family experience, but not a personal experience outside of that.
Generally, friends are never betrayed, but if they betray, they become enemies.
Yeah, I love that. That's very. I like that. That's a very astute. That's a very astute statement. When you say that your family members have done it,
it's too personal. I don't think I should share in the public.
Oh, got it. Okay, no worries. Nope, that I can understand. I know this. and I can tell this story because I'm I 3 of the 4 people are dead, and the 4th person will never hear this, so it's quite all right. My family, my 2 older sisters stopped talking to each other when they were 14 years old. And twice I did my best to bring them together, to connect them. Once it was at, my dad had an accident, was in intensive care. Then several years later, my dad passed away, and my middle sister, money, and my father's stuff was more important than her relationship with me. And it took me so much to understand it, because we'd been great brother and sister up to this point. And I know she was hurting. I know she missed my dad. I also know she was a card-carrying Christian, very much so, with a Bible in her car. I mean, and I have a Bible in my car now, so it's like she was definitely a powerful Christian. And for her, these I just couldn't get my hands around it, because I looked at this, and I even looked at my brother-in-law and said, where's this coming from? That she could do this and then start to call me a thief and a crook and all of this. And I'm like, wait a minute. My father left everything to me, 100% of everything. I'm the one that chose to split it up. And that wasn't good enough. And it took 5 years and my brother-in-law's support to find out. One, she had ended up going to AA. Came out of AA a lot lighter, physically. And I believe that she was actually sorry that she had done what she did. And we recreated our friendship, and then our brother and sister. But that took her husband stepping in. And I'm a coach. It blew me away. I couldn't believe. And I started to understand, with this lack of communication and this misjudgment and all of this, I started to understand why my 2 sisters couldn't get along. And then one of my oldest sister's friends said, but I really like your younger sister. I think we should try to figure this out so we can all hang out together. And my older sister, without even hesitation, said, you are no longer in my life. And literally pushed her out. And I just can't, I just don't understand. so many times you hear that blood is thicker than water, and that family should overcome anything, and family members ought to be forgiven for just about everything. And to see the animosity and then use my older sister's friend to try and push them back together. I just looked at, it was just a melting pot for trouble. And I think when we have family members, we think we can get away with doing things because they know and love us, even if we're in the hot water. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. A lot of memories there. Back to you, Sujata.
Every written word is not cast in stone, and blood is not always thicker than water, as experiences tell us all the time.
Dipti, go ahead.
Yes, coach. Like, I do agree with what Sujata said. Like, you cannot apply the proverb like that states blood is thicker than water, and when it comes to reality, like that doesn't always stay the same. Everything changes, people change, things change. So we have to kind of take it in our stride and keep moving forward. That is what I could say. And people are like that, like many people are selfish, and as we would even discuss, and we discussed once in our leadership group, leadership room, Ziegler leadership room, where we were talking about how selfish the world is, and where even in the movie Care Bear, there is a line which states, in a selfish world only the selfish succeed. But that doesn't mean we should also behave like that. Like, we can extend grace and kindness, and you can kill them with kindness is what I would say. There is a line from Selena Gomez, the pop sensation song, titled "Kill Them with Kindness." So when they will at some point of time, they will kind of understand, like, even if they don't value your kindness now, it will at least touch someone where they need to be touched, like when they are in their vulnerable stage, that it'll kind of it'll really touch them, and it'll make them think about their own selfishness too. So, like, despite all the things that we face, it's better to always be kind, and and because we will also have our own consequences. Like, what you do does come back to you. And I have seen that in one of my relatives or relatives friends life too. Like, he kind of meddled with one of my cousins wedlock. Like, he kind of meddled, and he got married later on. Again, for him, the result of what my cousin underwent, my cousin got divorced. Okay, in the same way, he also, like, his friend also got the same result because he meddled with this person. So, I have seen this happening. So, what we do comes back to us, and if we give out kindness, kindness comes back in some way. It may not come back through the same person, but in some way, the sweetness and kindness comes back, and I am able to see that in my life too. And I would have been hurt at that moment where they were using me and stuff like that. But I realized, and I came out of that. But that hurt, coming out of that hurt was a big Herculean task for me. Like, since being a very highly sensitive person, like, coming out of that hurt is a very big thing. But later on, somehow God also helped me, and I also came out of that using positivity and mindfulness or whatever, like reflective journaling and things like that, sharing with people and stuff like that. And I also understood that okay, this is how life will be, that this is reality, this is a reality that we live in. And like accepting things as it is, okay, this is how it will be. But even at times, things change and you may be surprised. But other than that, okay, this is how people will be, this is how people will behave. But despite that, I'll keep going in my own, I'll keep moving forward in my life. That is what, that kind of a thinking kind of brings you out. And that is what I got from this, thing that I listened, and what, I did in my life. I was able to remember the same thing. So thank you, Coach, for the opportunity. This is what I wanted to say, and with that, I'm complete.
Awesome.
Woohoo! Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dipti. Really appreciate you. And
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I just want to check in. Fabian, did you want to jump in? I see you flashing.
Yeah, Coach. I've been on this Bible verse, Philippians 4:8, for a week now. It's just fascinating. In a room, it's kind of been my go-to for the good.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Now we can. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in a bad zone. But so Philippians 4:8 has been my go-to in the morning. It's what I read in the morning now before I set out, and it just kind of, I guess, sets the whole tone for my day. And I think, yeah, we can go through some tough stuff, but to be able to look for the good, the light, allows us not to go in that deep hole, that black hole where it's so easy to, just the first sign we think, oh, here, this is happening again, when in reality it's not, and to give folks a chance, man. Give folks a chance, let them create their own story, but not to right away say, oh, here we go again down the same road. And obviously, with caution, but give folks a chance. Give folks a chance.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Go ahead, Sujata.
People change all the time. And some call it evolution, some call it growth. However, there are situations, circumstances, everything depends on context. You may be a certain person at a certain time, may not be the same person at another given point of time. So it is up to us how we deal with situations. It's up to us how we have our intentions and we follow a certain course. We can't be answerable for other people, but we can definitely be answerable to ourselves. So you have to question yourself. Nobody will come and question you. At the end of the day, you have to question why you did and what you did. You have to live with yourself at the end of the day. Thank you.
You're welcome. And go ahead, Michelle.
Not what you were saying about children. About I was thinking about that you should let them make the mistakes, even when people hurt them or they trust. We should teach them integrity and how for them to trust that. For them to trust them. That I'm just thinking about we should let the kids learn on their own also. I think they have to learn lessons too. And whenever something like that happens in their life, they can come to their parents. You know, sometimes people want to protect them, but we can't.
That is the age-old conversation right there. All right. Well, with that, Sujata, any last requests for you? Okay. Let's play a quick little outro song. Here we go.
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
We've increased our sales by about 33%, blowing all of our goals out of the water.
In my first 6 months, I actually grew my business with his help over 500%. Literally 500%.
Les Hill is the type of person that invests back in you and back into your company. So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.